We're going to move things on to talk a little bit more about Invisible Money Button with Eva from Money Button, and we need to share her screen to get that started. So if you just give us 2 seconds.
Yeah, so we need to switch her to be present. Okay, perfect. Yeah, there we go.
All right, let's see if I can share my screen and if this works. I bet everybody got used to, hey, can you see my screen question? So can you see my screen?
We can. Good. Looks good.
Okay, that is great. So thank you for being here. There's about 180 people out there. So thank you, and good evening, afternoon, morning, wherever you are. And thank you for spending some time with us. I'm here to talk a little bit about Invisible Money Button, which is something that we have released a couple of weeks ago. Hopefully you have heard about it. And if you haven't, I hope you learned something new today. So to begin with, hi, I'm Eva. I'm a software engineer at Money Button. I'm also a CSS Conference organizer, a code developer expert, and embarrassingly, I kind of enjoy reading W3C drafts as much as Harry Potter. So if you're into, HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and invisibility cloaks, you're my kind of people. So I'm here to talk about this beauty. So this is our Money Button. We actually love it a lot. We love it because, since the beginning of Money Button, it's been there. We know that it works, and we know that people like it. And we know that maybe if you want to send $100 or $2,000 to your account, it's like you actually enjoy the swiping sensation on your finger, on your keyboard, because it gives you this feeling of being certain of what you are doing. So we believe it's like a great product and a great choice for many use cases. But throughout the time of the BSP community, the BSP community has grown a lot. And not only the community, but also the apps that the community has been creating. We have slowly begun to realize that it might not be the best solution for every use case. Because take as an example, social media apps or file uploading apps, where you have to swipe the button 15 times in 1 minute for making very small payments, maybe for making 10, 15 cents of payments, then it doesn't feel as comfortable, and it doesn't feel like such a good user experience as if we compare it with sending $200 to your account. So we discovered, okay, maybe we have a different use case because we have a new kind of apps out there that require more swiping in small payments. So we decided that maybe we can offer another solution for these apps. And we have created the Invisible Money Button, which is an invisible money button. You just don't see it, which is great. So you as a user will swipe less, but at the same time, you will keep the control. So let's take an example. I love this article. I love about reading the future path for design, and I want to tip the user maybe $1 or maybe 50 cents. So what do? Well, I click the heart button, and once I click the heart button, that begins an automatic payment to the author of this blog post. And it's as simple as that. I don't have to swipe anymore. I just need to do an action in a website, like clicking a button or maybe dragging a file to upload it. And the swiping goes behind my eyes in like magic. And it actually goes really well with this kind of apps that require many actions in a very small period of time. So when you implemented Invisible Money Button, we needed to figure out how to keep the users safe and how to actually make them keep their control over their wallets and their balance. So we created a new permission system because we need to make the user feel safe, and we need them to understand that they have all the control even though they are not swiping as much as before. So this new permission system works like this. So you got this app, and once you get into the app for the first time, and the app uses Invisible Money Button, you will see a blue prompt like this one that will ask you, hey, do you agree to let kittens spend up to $3 from your balance? And you can say yes or no. And if you say yes, what you will be agreeing is to let the app use up to $3 from your balance. So there's a couple of things to figure out here. Why $3? Well, it's not necessarily $3 is an kind of an amount that the app recommends you to use, but that you can change anytime. It's like it's an editable input. So if you're not really comfortable with giving $3, you can actually put 1, or if you love the app already, you can put 10, 50, whatever you need, whatever you want. And also it's USD dollars, because in my case, my account, my Money Button account was set into US dollars, but we can change it to something different. We can put like Argentine pesos, Colombian pesos, euros, and you will see the amount always in your default currency. This is mainly to avoid any kind of confusions. It's really hard when you are not familiar with the currency and you see a money in a currency that you don't know to actually recognize how much money it is. So you will always see the amount in your default currency, and you can change it anytime in your settings. So let's take it like I agree to let this app expand to $3. What does it happen? So what happens after that? Well, the app doesn't make any payment, but it will begin to make payments if you do actions, like perhaps sending a tip or sending 5 cents to a user or posting something on the app. So you will begin reducing the amount that you have provided. So for example, if you actually agree to let the user spend up to $3 and you made an action of $1, then you have $2 left that you never spend but are there. And once you spend that balance, those $3, you actually swipe again to say, okay, I will agree to give you another $3. And if you want, you have the full control of actually modifying that permission, because you can go into your settings at Money Button and go to permissions, kittens, and actually modify whatever you want. Let's say like you love kittens. So you realize after one day that you are in love with this app, and you don't want to only spend up to $3 because you have to like swipe again because you run out of money too fast. So it's like, okay, I'm going to go into my permission settings and I'm going to put $50 because I really love this app. And if you don't like it that much, you can go to your settings and put $1 instead of $3. And maybe you just realize like, oh my God, I'm allergic to kittens. So if you're allergic to cats, then that's okay too, because you can simply remove the permission. And once you remove the permission, that relationship is broken and there's no more any kind of access to your balance. So once you remove the permission, if you kind of say, okay, maybe I do want to give them a second chance, you can go back into the app, swipe again the agreement, and you're in again. So it's pretty much a simple way of accepting the permission and then beginning to use the app. And in any time you want to change it or simply remove it, you can do so in your Money Button settings. So there are many companies that have probably already implemented invisible money buttons, so you can try it today. One of those is Baymail, with a P2P payment and main system for BSV blockchain. And it's like sending emails but the right way. So you should totally check out their product because it's amazing. Also, Degen is helping organize and host this whole meeting. So thank you, Degen, for being here. For my fellow developers, we got a new API. So you can actually use this today in your apps. It's, I hope, pretty easy to use. You need to create a new app through your Money Button account, and then you need to fill out the URL. Something very important is that the URL needs to be of the same domain that the app will use, and that is for security reasons. And then you will need your client identifier. So you take that information and then you write your code, which looks something like this. So you might see it like something familiar because we try to keep it as similar to the original Money Buttons API as possible. So the only difference is actually you need to call the invisible Money Button object. There are like a lot of more configurations possible. I'm just not going to go into that in here, just to keep it short. But we have some great documentation that you can actually take a look into. You can find it in docs.moneybutton.com. And if you're not really into reading, if you prefer learning by video, Miguel has recorded a wonderful video. It's on our YouTube channel. And you can actually learn how to use Invisible Money Button by watching this 8-minute video. So that's another way of learning how to use it as well. And if you have any questions, we are actually here to help because we want you to create wonderful apps and we really, really want you to succeed. So we got a Telegram group for developers. You can check it out. We also got an email for questions from developers. It's called appdevelopers@moneybutton.com. And if you forget how it's spelled, then it's okay. You can just send to support@moneybutton.com and we'll be able to help you there. And also, we got more information on the Invisible Money Buttons API in our blog. So I invite you to go check it out. Thank you very much. I really hope you build wonderful things with it. Please let us know of your creations. We are really looking forward to it.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that presentation, Eva. It's a pleasure to have you on here. So we have some time to take questions for, is it Eva or Eva?
Eva.
Eva. Fantastic. Well, personally, as a developer, I should start before we have questions rolling in. I love Invisible Money Button. I think it's been really easy to port Baymail from the sort of Money Button and OAuth over to IMB, and I think once I've sorted things my end, I think it's going to be a much better user experience. I think that you've designed such a good onboarding experience that I don't really need one my side, if that makes sense. So there's a bit of doubling up, but I would say that's my only criticism is that it all pretty much just works, which is great for the users. I guess one question that I have is, where do you see Invisible Money Button going? In terms of, for example, one thing that I might want to make clear to my users when they first log in, they don't know what Baymail is, but they have a Money Button account. I actually only want to request that they sign something to prove who they are to log in, because they may have received some Baymails, and they don't need to actually pay. They're just using crypto operations to sign in and decrypt their Baymails. I don't want to necessitate them signing over $10, which is the current standard for me.
Yeah, totally. So Invisible Money Button can also be used to encrypt and decrypt stuff. So it can also be used to do these crypto operations and not only send money. So we really want it to be used that way as well, because it may not be the most common use case, but it's something really interesting that you can do with that.
Awesome. Fantastic. Go ahead, Hugo.
Sorry, a small comment. Also, something else that we know that is needed for the users, and we plan to add, it's even more granular authorization system. Because right now, basically, the crypto operations are treated in a block, and that might not be what there are some apps that don't need to encrypt, for example. So the user might feel safer if they know that they are only going to make signatures in that app, and if that is clear. So right now, that part of the permission system is kind of a block, but we plan to make it modular, and that increases the security also of Invisible Money Button, and it makes stuff easier for the developers, because if they don't, for example, plan to encrypt, they don't there is we are removing an attack vector from people's apps. So that's something that we know that they're going to add.
Interesting. We do have a question from our audience now. Vegard Wickbeat has asked, if data is signed through Money Button, or let's say in this case, Invisible Money Button, it should be encrypted, so token access is public to the service it was uploaded from. If I want at any time in future, I can remove access to that encrypted data inside Money Button somehow. Is that true? So maybe if I can reformulate, if I understand Vicard's question, this would be the ability to sell access to data that you've encrypted, for example, or at least revoke access via that key. Is sort of key management and sort of content-specific encryption something that we might be able to do as app developers in future and users?
I'm going to give a strategic answer to this question. So there's, what we implemented last year, a lot of the features of Invisible Money Button are you guys are referring to what we call the Crypto Operations API. So we have the ability to sign and encrypt and decrypt data. This is a sort of partially featured but not fully featured product yet. So there are other things that we can add into all this stuff. You're asking for more advanced features in the crypto operations API. So basically, like everything else we do with Money Button in general, this is we need additional APIs to provide this type of control. There aren't too many other APIs that we need to add, though. But that's an API that we don't have, but it's one of those things that we just have to work with basically companies to figure out what are the specific features they need next to say they literally cannot do something right now with Money Button. We have to put that in with our priorities, figure out where that fits, and so on. So anyway, there is a missing API there, but that's something we just have to basically work with businesses that are actually going to use the thing to figure out how that fits in and aligns with their other priorities. So that's the answer to that.
Excellent. Thank you. Fantastic. So taking a look through the questions here. Let's see. Okay, so one question I see, somebody using Invisible Money Button on Twitch, they might post to Twitch and have it not go through for whatever reason. So I guess the question is about error handling and how you guys see the future of that developing. Because right now, some people are having transactions that are being dropped, essentially, presumably because there's an error on Money Button's side, but that's somehow not getting through to the app and telling the app that something's gone wrong.
Well, I believe that there is something there that is really important, that is understand how everything in Bitcoin works, and that of course means in Money Button, because we are basically an interface with Bitcoin. Everything there is extremely asynchronous, and that is something that we let clear in the documentation. So a lot of things might happen since you actually try to make a payment through when the payment actually works. So for example, it might happen that the user runs out of authorized amount, so the user needs to actually top up again the authorization, and then just then the payment is actually going to start. So if you as a developer don't consider that, then you might lose payment. So you need to consider that everything is extremely asynchronous. The Invisible Money Button SDK actually handles the error and handles it in a really standard way, that is with promises. The promise can go through and can be rejected. And basically, the ideal thing would be to show to the users that there is loading time, and show to the users when there was a succeed or when there was an error. And again, with promises, you can easily handle all those cases. But as a developer, you need to consider that there is a synchronism. And you need to consider that it's possible that the user starts a payment and then suddenly, just in that seconds, their internet connection breaks and that the transaction don't go through. That's something that might happen. Not only with Invisible Money Button, it might happen with every payment method. And part of create a robust application is basically consider those cases. In our documentation, we have actually a list of things that are like extremely desirable to be considered when you are developing with Invisible Money Button. And we also have a list of like advices that we give to developers. And well, as Eva mentioned, if any, like even if with that there are questions or you notice like corner cases, feel free to basically ask us in our Telegram group or in our emails, and we're going to answer about those specific corner cases.
Fantastic, thanks, Miguel. So a lot of my users on Baymail have cited a sort of concern with privacy, not within Baymail itself, but imagining that someone, and this was a few months ago, imagining that someone builds an application maliciously who asks somebody to swipe a money button with some embedded data that they have sieved from op return data. So Baymail op return data, which is encrypted on chain. They've taken that data into their application and hidden it in a crypto operation within a money button. And then someone thinks they're just, playing a kitty game, and really they're decrypting their entire inbox for this application developer to exploit. So it would be great to go through how Invisible Money Button makes that situation better now by locking the permissions to the domain. Is that the intention of that feature?
I believe that this is related with what Ryan answered before. There are a few APIs that we didn't develop yet, but we plan to develop, and we plan to do it as close as we can with the people already using Invisible Money Button like you. So that's something that we are aware of and that we plan to improve in the short term. Like,
okay, rather than grilling you on it, what I was trying to do was say that, but actually people can't do that with Invisible Money Button because they would need to grant access to that other app rather than, does that make sense? So that now that the app says we can decrypt your content, whereas previously with just money buttons, there was no indication that was going on.
Completely, like something that is really important, again, like to me, it's really important the permission system in Invisible Money Button. In everything that Eva showed, it was clear that you are actually showing a clear way who are you granting access to, basically. So, of course, that it might happen that an app does something like, I don't know, sign something in your behalf that you don't expect. In the case, like you have to specifically authorize that, but as you said, it was like some kind of phishing app, and well, some user has that problem. But I'm sure that is going to be well known really fast, basically. And again, like the permissions are associated with URLs. So basically you're going to know that, I don't know, scammy.com is a scam, and like you're going to, I don't know, probably let first Money Button know, probably our support system or the BSP community or whatever. And presumably, like, people is not going to authorize scammy.com never else to access to their keys, basically, right? To use their signatures or whatever.
Do you have the power to do that at your side? Could you block a particular, if it was like scam.com, you could stop people from authorizing from this domain?
Yes, that's something that we can do. We hope that we never have to do. But like, yes, that's part of the reason why the permissions are scoped to apps. So if if you have reports of an app being a scam, that's something that we are going to consider, basically. Like,
fantastic.
It never happened, but yes, we need as a company to have that possibility if it's needed.
I want to clarify as well. That's never happened to any of my users so far. It was just a hypothetical security concern. Okay, fantastic. Thank you so much. And thank you, Eva, for the presentation.